wishing on a star and trying to believe that even though it's far, you'll find me Christmas Eve. I guess that Santa's busy, 'cause he's never come around. I think of him when Christmas comes to town. The best time of the year, when everyone comes home with all this Christmas cheer, it's hard to be alone. Putting up the Christmas tree with friends who come around. It's so much fun when Christmas comes to town.
Hello and happy holidays and welcome to Book versus Movie. This is a podcast where we read books that have been adapted into movies and then we try to decide which we like better, the book or the movie. I am Margot B. of coloniabook.com and this is my good friend and co-host, Margot D. of Brooklyn Fit Chick.
Hi, everyone.
It's actually cold here in San Diego.
What's cold in San Diego?
Cold for us.
Yeah.
I had to wear socks when I went out this morning. Ooh, I almost grabbed a jacket. It's like low 60s, high 50s.
It's in the 20s here in New York. Yeah.
Oh no. That's terrible. That's too cold to snow, isn't it?
It's too cold for snow, and it's also one of those things like I have my gloves, and I always every year I love these gloves, but I forget on really cold days it doesn't really do any good. It's not good for anything below 40 degrees, and your hand gets cold, and it's just a misery. But it's Christmas time, so I'm totally okay with it.
Well, we are wrapping up December and our holiday movies, and we have a brand new episode that we're going to get to today that I'm surprised we haven't done before. But before we get to that, first of all, a few people have left us some reviews. Is it on Apple Podcasts?
On Apple Podcasts, we got a couple of 5-star reviews recently, and thank you guys so much. It helps us find more listeners because Apple counts reviews. It also counts the stars. If you just hit 5 stars, it counts just as much as downloads for them. I don't know why, but it does. But we also honestly, we like hearing from you guys. And if you enjoy the show, it really makes us feel good to hear it. So, Margot, we heard from B in Scarsdale, and B said, thank you so much, that he wished for this very podcast to exist, and then he found us. He just wished there was a book and a movie podcast out there, and he just had found us. So you're welcome, B. And we also got—
You're welcome. That's are the secrets out then?
Yes.
That we're magic witches.
And then we also heard from Irish Gypsy, and she found us with our It's a Wonderful Life episode. She said she sobbed her eyes out and she can't wait to listen to more shows. So you guys, thank you so much for reaching out to us.
I forgot, I was listening to the replay because once again, I was driving back from Oxnard, California last night, and I forgot how much I cried for that movie. I cried and cried and cried. Yeah. And this one didn't make me cry, but go ahead.
I was just saying we picked also a couple of really weepy scenes from the movie. So we've heard that a few times from people that they listen to the episode, it makes them cry again.
I know, it's true. Well, that happens. Sometimes you get a weepy one. Now, there's a few. So if you just joined us for that episode, then you may not know that there's some other places on the internet where you can interact with us and with each other.
Certainly. So that's on social media. We have a Facebook page, and all of the episodes are posted there for sure. We also have a Facebook group, and the Facebook group is where we're the most interactive and where the fans are interactive with one another, and they talk about books and movies and all kinds of fun things there. So you just ask to join you just type in Book VS Movie Podcast Group in the Facebook group. We also decide episodes there because sometimes we have to change things at the last minute. So we put extra clips there. We put polls there. Like I said, people talk to one another. So be sure to join the group if you're interested, if you still use Facebook. Not everybody does, but if you do, there we are. Book VS Movie Podcast Group. We're on Twitter at Book versus Movie, and there you spell it all out. And on Instagram, you can find us at Book versus Movie Podcast. We are there. We have an email. You just type in book versus movie podcast at gmail.com. If you want some stickers, send us some stickers. We also signed up. If you want to sign up, we have a Patreon page that we started a few months ago, and we're putting older episodes. We've been around for 5 years now, and some podcast apps will not go beyond 2 or 3 years. And so we decided to take our older episodes and put them behind a paywall. So everything from about 2 to 3 years out is going there. We have some great shows there. The Godfather's there. Casino's there. Our Christmas movies are there. The Feud FX series, Betty and Joan, we put that there. Lots of stuff there. So go check out our Patreon page. Go to patreon.com, type in Book versus Movie. You'll find us. And we actually have a few free episodes that just give you a chance to check out what we're like. And we hope you come and check us out. And it just helps to cover the cost, of just stuff like we have to buy the books and the movies. We have hosting fees for the site and that kind of stuff. So it really just helps us out. So we have very affordable options there. So thank you guys who've been signing up for the Patreon page. And if you're interested, please go check it out. Once again, that's patreon.com/book versus movie.
So speaking of almost, I always check the library first to see if the book, and almost all the time our books are at the library. And this one, of course, was also. But then I suddenly thought, I don't know that my little niece and nephew know this book. So I texted my sister-in-law, their mom, and I asked if she had it. And she was like, no, because, she's sort of not, they don't really know about it. So I bought a copy, 1, to read for this podcast, and 2, to give to my niece and nephew for Christmas. Shh, don't tell them. In 1985. So it's over 30 years old. And we are talking, of course, about the Polar Express.
Well, Margot, it's funny because I ordered a copy through Amazon and it didn't arrive on time, Amazon. And they had more than a week to get it to me. So I don't understand what happened there. So I went to, actually, we have a deal with Audible, and there is an Audible version on Audible, but it's sort of like this. It's a live show and it sounds like an opera. And it's some from the book and then some made up for it for the stage. And I found it a little confusing. So it is available on Audible. And if you want to give it a try, it's audibletrial.com/book versus movie. You can get a free month of the service. So go check it out there if you're interested. So then I got a little frustrated because I didn't have time to run to Barnes & Noble and get a copy. So I got a copy for my Kindle. I don't recommend reading this if you have a little Kindle like I do, because the pictures are so beautiful. And I think it really benefits from having the actual book in your hands. So that's my long-winded way of saying I think the best way to check out the original source material would be the book. And like Margot said, it's available at any library and I'm sure at any bookstore, because it was released in 1985 and it sold 1 million copies in its first few years, and it's a perennial favorite for a lot of people. It wasn't a part of my life because I was a teenager when this came out, and I don't have kids.
I was, Yeah, we had this book because I have a younger sister, so she was old enough. How old was she? She was like 8 in 1985. So we had the book for her. So I remember we got it that very year that it actually came out on Christmas Day, 1985. And I did have time to go to my Barnes & Noble. They had like a mountain of them.
Sure.
And they had so many copies. And they had all of these that were the 30th anniversary edition. And it came with it comes with, I should say, a like gold tone Polar Express Christmas ornament and an access code. You can get an audio version of the book read by Liam Neeson.
Oh, now I would have liked that. That's not on Audible. Audible, get on that because I would have loved that.
Yeah. But it's widely available. It's very easy to, if you have a local, I'm sure if you went to a used bookseller, I bet you they have it there too. So this was such a popular children's book. Yeah, like you're saying, for those first few years, I mean, everybody was giving everybody this book. And mainly, I think, because of the illustrations. Now, the book was written and illustrated by Chris Van Allsburg. And that's what really makes this book, because it's a very simple story, but what made it such a classic so immediately was definitely his artwork. It is just gorgeous stuff.
It's beautiful. And we should say Chris Van Allsburg, he was born 1949 in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He had his 70th birthday this year. He's still with us, thank goodness. He has won 2 Caldecott medals. That's for The Polar Express and Jumanji. You guys probably know about Jumanji, and they just re-released that movie. They redid and re-released that movie this year. He's written and illustrated dozens of books. He lives in Beverly, Massachusetts with his wife of 43 years, Lisa Van Allsburg. And he's most known probably for Jumanji and The Polar Express. Like I said, it was published in 1945. It sold 1 million copies within a few years. And so we come along to the movie, which comes out in 2004 with Robert Zemeckis. But let's just talk a little bit just about the basic story. And it's a basic, simple story. Like a lot of children's books.
It is.
It's 30 pages. You know, how much can be in there?
Right. Right. It is. It's super simple. I don't think anybody even has any names, do they? Does that boy have a name? I don't think he does.
Not really. I think
right?
somebody says it might be Chris just because that's the name of our author and illustrator. But
maybe.
They never mention it, though. No.
But I mean, it's the kind of story that you almost don't even need any words. The illustrations are that evocative and rich. I mean, they're beautiful, beautiful pictures in this book. And so the story, the words, there are hardly any. And it's very, very simple. Yeah, it's if you've seen I'm assuming if you've seen the movie, you've read the book, but maybe I'm wrong. It's a lot simpler than the movie. It's just a boy. I don't think they even talk about him like having doubts about Santa, do they? Oh, a little bit, right?
Just
He's
a little bit.
Heard from kids at school and stuff. Yeah.
I was just going to say it takes place in 1955. And I believe in Lansing, Michigan, which is where our author is from. And yeah, this boy without a name, he's not sure if he believes in Santa or not. He's getting like different kinds of word on the street about that.
He's going to bed. It's Christmas Eve, and I think he sees the light, or I can't remember if he sees the light or he hears the sound outside his house. And I mean, I didn't grow up where there's snow, so I don't really know. You know, I know my winter experience is living in New York City and Boston, and so I never lived where there was like, you know, a vast front yard of snow and like trees and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I have a very urban snow history. And so I find it a little odd that, you know, do you go out in just your slippers and robe and not a hat or gloves or anything? But he goes, so, you know, right away to me, I'm like, oh, this is weird. But anyway, he goes to investigate, but yeah, he's just wearing his pajamas and his robe and his slippers in this like beautiful snowscape of his front yard. And then up comes this just gorgeous steam engine.
And the train conductor asks him for his ticket, and he reaches into his robe, and he has a ticket there. And he says, "Where are we going?" He goes, "Well, we're going to the North Pole, of course, because it's Christmas Eve." And he goes to the North Pole, and when he gets to the North Pole, there are elves. The North Pole it's different from the way we grew up with the North Pole being realized in fiction, which is like a very cute little quaint place with like a few elves here and there, and you know, people kind of, you know, working on toys. It's gigantic and it's massive.
Yeah, it's like a factory town. It's like a something between you know, Victorian England and, you know, what do you call that? Assembly line United States. You know, it's like a big factory, and they're like the little army of workers. And yeah, I agree, it's different than you see in other fiction about the North Pole and Santa and the elves. It's great. I mean, it's very picture. I mean, it makes a great picture.
Yeah.
It just looks incredible. So yeah, it's just this vast sea of workshops, and it's like a factory. It's like a factory with loads and loads and loads of workers.
Of elves everywhere, just elves everywhere you go. And he's on this train with other kids. So it's a very big deal with the kids in that whoever Santa picks to get the first gift. And our narrator, our hero boy, he's the one that gets the first gift. And the only thing he wants, and he asks Santa, is like he'd like a bell from the sleigh. Santa's really psyched about that. And he gets this sleigh. He gets the bell. And the bell is like makes a very sweet sound. Eventually, he winds up back home because he's only there for the night, and then he has to go back home because that's Christmas Day. And he's really bummed out because when he went back to show his friends to what he got, it turns out he had a hole in his robe in the pocket, and so the bell fell out of the hole, and so he had nothing. And then when he gets home, he finds the bell is under the Christmas tree, and he has a sister. They can both hear the bell. But the parents can't hear the bell because they believe in Santa and the parents don't believe in Santa. Over the years, he can still hear the bell, but as he gets older, his friends can't hear it, then his sister can't hear it. And that's just sort of the thing is that he still believes many, many years later, and he still has that bell. And so that's the thing that he really cares about. And that's his whole symbol of his belief in Christmas, that it's not something, it's just something very sweet, angelic, simple, but has presence. And so that's basically what the story is.
Yeah, that's it. That's the whole thing. And again, it's all about the pictures. I mean, I like I said, I have no experience, but it's like all these, the landscapes and the houses, train with the snow falling. It's just beautiful, beautiful illustrations in this book. And a very simple story, but a very, it really makes an impression on you. Like I vividly remember reading this story for the first time at 12 or 13. I was probably like 13 when it came out. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. That's the story, and it was a mega hit, a mega monster hit. And then I had to go to Michael's, of course, and find a bell, so I could have a bell and tied onto the package. When I give him the book, that's my plan.
That's the book you mean you're going to get a bell for it?
Yeah, I got a bell. I'm going to put a bell on it when I give it to them.
Oh, they're going to love that. That's so sweet. So
I think they'll like it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. They will. Absolutely. So we should just go to the movie and let's play the trailer first. So this is the trailer, the original trailer for The Polar Express.
He's got to be asleep by now.
He used to stay awake all night waiting for Santa.
I think those days are just about over.
Well, you coming?
Where?
Why, to the North Pole, of course. This is the Polar Express.
Hey, you. Do you know what kind of train this is?
It's a magic train. Christmas just doesn't work out for me. Never has.
Exactly your persuasion on the big man.
Well, I want to believe, but...
Right! You don't want to be conned. You don't want to be bamboozled. You don't want to be taken for a ride railroaded. Seeing is believing. Am I right?
There is the North Pole.
Which one of these is the brake? He said this is the brake. Are you sure?
Get us the blazes out of here!
I wanted to do that my whole life. It's here. It's here. Where?
Just remember, the true spirit of Christmas lies in your heart.
Our film is directed by Robert Zemeckis, and we talked about him when we talked about Forrest Gump. He was the director for Forrest Gump. He's also the director of Castaway, and those both star Tom Hanks. And Tom Hanks has been on the show.
more than once, but I was going to say he was also the director of A Christmas Carol, the version of The Christmas Carol that we did.
Oh, that's right. You're right,
Remember?
Margo. Yes, absolutely. And Tom Hanks was in Forrest Gump. We talked about Forrest Gump, book versus movie. We also talked about Catch Me If You Can. That's a really popular episode. And Tom here, oh my goodness, he plays hero boy.
Many roles. Yeah.
I wrote this down. Hero boy, father, conductor, hobo. There's a hobo in this. Scrooge and Santa Claus. He's and we talked about Jim Carrey in the Grinch movie. It's similar what happens with Tom Hanks here. That it's stop motion kind of stuff. They put they put him in a bodysuit and they have like these sensors all over him. And we put on the Facebook group, we put a couple of clips there of Tom Hanks acting with this stuff. And I think this must be so tedious to do. I don't know. What do you think?
It seems like it would be, doesn't it? And similarly with, again, we're going to be repeating ourselves, I think, a lot. If you heard our Christmas Carol episode, because again, it's the same director and it's the same animation technique. It's called performance capture technology, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
And so you just do the same thing over and over again. And in A Christmas Carol, I think it's this, I have the same kind of issues with it, that the performances are good. I can't say that the performances are good. He's great in all these roles, but the animation style is very jarring. Like I was watching it and and my kids came in the room and my daughter's like, "Oh, this movie." and I was like, "Really?" I said, I don't think I've ever seen it before. She's like, "Oh yeah, I've seen it on TV, And then like she's looking closer and she's seeing like the kids and she's like, "Blah." It's just unsettling. It's very unsettling. And in A Christmas Carol, Jim Carrey is just like in this. He's playing many roles. He's all the ghosts, and he's Scrooge, and he's Scrooge older, he's Scrooge younger. But I just feel the same way, that like all the trouble and expense that they must have gone through to do this animation, it would have been so much better if they just done it a live action version. And couldn't they have just CGI'd like all those? I don't know. Maybe they couldn't, but it's very unsettling. I find it extremely unsettling, and it takes away from the great performances because they're good.
Everyone's really good, and they really expand on the story. They expand on the stories of the other kids, and they're making sure that it's a very inclusive group. It's multiracial, and the story is. I liked the story with the hobo. I thought that was interesting. Like he has to be stuck on the roof. He's not allowed in.
I liked it too.
Yeah. I liked Tom Hanks here. He was a great Santa. Yeah. I like him when he's singing. I like all this stuff. But then you look at these characters, and they're just dead in the eyes. And that's really creepy.
It's weird. It's very unsettling.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, something about that kind of animation. And this is even earlier than A Christmas Carol. So I would think it's probably even a little less, evolved. But yeah, there's just something about their faces. It's not the motion of their bodies. It's just what you're saying. It's this deadness in their eyes that is not animated. You just can't relate. It's weird. It's very odd.
I read a few reviews about this, and Roger Ebert gave it a kind of a tepid review. And then he said he went and saw it in 3D and IMAX. And there he said it was spectacular, the 3D effects and everything like that. Maybe that's the way. I don't know. It's on TV all the time. At Christmas time. It's been out 15 years now. It's on TV all the time at Christmas time. So there's got to be people who are fans of it. And some people were, there were people asking for us to cover this. And there's parts of it I super like. I think the music's really good. The music,
it is.
Yeah. I thought the animated scenes of like the elves at the town square and all that stuff. I thought that looked amazing. I thought really, really cool. It's just that when they did close-ups of the actors talking to one another with that stuff, it was like very few expressions on their face, and like I said, it was just dead behind the eyes, and it really creeped me out after a while.
It is. It's weird. It really it really gets in the way. It really, really does. Although, when I'm looking, like the reception of it was pretty for a kid's Christmas movie. I mean, I think it was pretty good. And maybe you needed to see it in 3D IMAX. And I could see how like when when the train is out of control and they're in the glacier falls
Oh
and
my
it's like
God.
a roller coaster, or the when the golden ticket, the girl's golden ticket, the boy's trying to gets away from him and it's flying all over the place. I could see how that would be super cool. Lots of things, and the snow. I can imagine that there were a lot of things that must have been really impressive seeing it in 3D IMAX. Was A Christmas Carol in 3D IMAX? I'm gonna have to look that up. Let me see.
I don't know, but
Because-
yeah, you look
Yeah, I
that up,
don't know.
and I'll talk about
I'm
the other
looking.
people. So the other people in the cast are Leslie Zemeckis. She plays the sister Sarah and her mother. Eddie Deason. He plays Know-It-All, and if his voice sounds familiar, he was Eugene in Grease. Nona Gay, she's in the movie Ali and The Matrix. She plays Hero Girl. Peter Scolari has a credit here for playing Billy, the lonely boy. He and Tom Hanks were co-stars in a show called Bosom Buddies, which is from Margot's and I. That's our past there. That's like our first introduction to
You know,
Tom
that I
Hanks.
know.
Yeah, that we know. Michael Jeter has a really great part as Smokey. But there's a few scenes actually. They had a couple of songs that he had to take out of the movie because one was a song they said it just made the movie too long. The movie's also 2 hours and 5 minutes. Like for a kids movie, I think that's
It's
really
quite long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was another sequence where there was going to be like a ghost story attached to the hobo, and they decided that the hobo's already scary enough. We don't need to add more to it, and so they actually it's been trimmed down. But it was another thing. I think that's a knock against it. I think it's just too long.
It is a little too long. Yeah, the hobo's just the right. And for the record, Christmas Carol, it was in 3D.
Oh, okay.
So that might have helped.
Yeah.
But neither you nor I watched it in 3D. We watched it in 2D. And so maybe it's that, maybe it's like it's so great in 3D that the other stuff is not so problematic.
It also could be
but
Margot.
Yeah, great performances.
But also, Margot,
Oh, sorry, yes.
Similar with A Christmas Carol, similar with The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, you and I have the 60s cartoon stuck in our head. Like that's something we grew up with and they played every year. And then we compared that with the Jim Carrey version, which we did not like at all. And then we heard from so many people from around the world who said, we didn't grow up with your version. This is the one we had. And so that's why we love it.
They love it.
Yeah. So
the performances are really good in that. I loved all of the performances. Jim Carrey's performances and all the characters are just phenomenal. And again, it's the animation and the same here. I think Tom Hanks is so, I love him as all the characters. I love him as Santa.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, as the conductor, he's so great. Like but that animation really does get in the way for me. And in this case, there wasn't a previous version.
No. My point being that,
but with Christmas Carol, yes, I agree. That's probably true.
I think also just our age, like it maybe like if we were little kids when the book came out, we'd have more of an attachment to the story, or if we were young when the movie came out. Or if we had little kids or something that liked it, then we'd have more of an affection for it. We're just sort of like, well, I like Christmas movies. I give a wide berth. I mean, this morning I was talking about the Santa Claus to somebody, and you would think I was talking about the Godfather, how great it is. I'm very forgiving with Christmas stories in general, but I thought like there's a great sequence where they have a concert and Steven Tyler is like playing a song.
Yeah.
There's great touches in here. Like I said, the music is very well done. And
it is excellent music. I agree. It is very good. Yeah.
I just think for me, the scenes where it's just, the characters interacting with each other, for me, the lack of expression in the eyes really is a downer for me. And it's just sort of a detraction. So I don't know if I'll watch it again.
Yeah, I agree. I know. I feel the same way. It's the children, right? It's the
Mhm.
kids in particular. That there's something about their eyes that is childlike. I don't know,
Mhm.
but I loved the whole thing. Yeah, anything with the elves. The elves are awesome.
Yep.
The whole thing with like the two guys that work in the engine of the train.
Yep.
Those two characters I really liked. But yeah, it's mostly the expressions, the facial expressions of the children that is somewhat jarring. But I loved like the art direction. I really, similar to the book. I really feel like it captured the essence
Mhm.
of the book and developed it in a really nice way. I really loved like the way that the like factory atmosphere of the North Pole. Any of the landscape things like the stuff with the elk. Oh, and the wolves, when the wolves
Oh,
are
yeah.
running along the train. Oh, it's beautiful. It is really just it's really mainly the kids. That's my kind of problem with it. But there are a lot of really good things. Like you said, the music, but yeah, I don't know that I would watch it again. I don't know.
Yeah. So, book versus movie, which do you like better?
Oh, the book.
Yeah, same here.
But I'm interested to see like when I give the book to my niece and nephew. So they're how old are they now? They're 6 and 4.
Oh, they'll probably love it.
Yeah. So most likely, I would imagine that they will watch the movie after they read the book. And I'm wondering what they're going to think of it.
See if you can record it. We'll put it on the show.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go, you guys.
Yeah,
Sometimes they're
it's
quick
short.
episodes. Yeah, they're quick episodes sometimes.
I mean, when the book's 30 pages.
Yes. There's only so much you could say. So we had an interesting idea for the next episode, by the way, which will be our first in 2020.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. We've had a ton of people asking for that. And it's only a 50-page book. It's the movie I've seen the movie and I've really liked it, and it's available on streaming everywhere, and we've had a lot of requests for that, so it looks like that will be our next one.
I'm excited. That's going to be a great one. That's going to be fun.
Me too. I think it's going to be great.
Still wintry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys, thank you so much for listening to our show. Be sure to subscribe. That way you'll never miss an episode. Follow us on all the things. And Margot, where can they find you?
You can find me on the internet at coloniabook.com. That's my website. That's all the blog and stuff all about the book. And all of my social media callouts are at She's Nacho Mama, SHESNACHOMAMA. And where can they find you?
You can find me on social media at Brooklyn Fit Chick. That's for Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm mostly active on Twitter and Instagram, and my blog is brooklynfitchick.com. And guys, we'll see you in a couple of weeks with a new episode. But in the meantime, happy holidays, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to the Book versus Movie podcast. We are a part of the Frolic Podcast Network. You can find more podcasts you will love at frolic.media/podcasts. We follow the hashtags LadyPodSquad and Podern Family. If you want to support the show, you can go to our Patreon page, go to Patreon, and look for Book versus Movie Podcast. We have a basic Facebook page, but we also have a private Facebook group. Go to Facebook and type in Book vs. Movie Podcast group if you want to join that. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Book versus Movie. Spell all those words out. If you'd like to send us an email, it's Book versus Movie Podcast, spell that all out, at gmail.com. You could follow Margot D at Brooklyn Fit Chick on social media, and Margot P at She's Nacho Mama. Thanks so much again for checking out our show, and we'll be back soon with a new episode.